Good morning, friends. I hope you're doing all right. I'm doing fine. Slight adjustment. There we go. Now I got the full workout area in view. It is 5:31 a.m. this Saturday morning, and we're going to get started. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you had a good week. I hope you are having a good wrapping up or end of the week, if it is still Friday where you're at, or I hope that your weekend has started well if you are a bit ahead of me. I'm in Amsterdam, so it is 5:31 a.m. on Saturday morning here, and the weekend is about to start. It's going to be a good weekend. We're going to take it easy today. We're just going to do some mobility, a little bit of core, nothing too intense. Then we're going to have a cup of coffee, do a few other things before the day really starts. What about you? What is your weekend going to be like? It's going to be a good one. I was streaming yesterday afternoon as well. Some of you might have seen. Thanks for dropping by if you did. That was more from my work and my life and a different aspect of my life, which is something that I want to start talking about a bit more as well. So I have to see how that fits in and what actually is a fun conversation to have at the beginning, at the end of the work week, because fitness is 30 minutes a day, work is 8 hours a day. So there are a lot of things worth talking about there as well. At least that would be my guess and understanding. In any case, friends, here we are. We're going to get started. For those of you who are just dropping by, my name is Toby. I'm 40 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, adventurous life. Not only now, but well into my 90s, because I've understood that I might live to be that old, which would be nice, but I would like to be healthy and active when I get there, and I'm sure you can understand why. So I want to feel fit, I want to feel competent, and in order to do that, I work out and I train. I mind my sleep between 7 and 9 hours a day. I mind my nutrition. I try to eat healthily 9 out of 10 times. I work on my strength and conditioning. I work on my conditioning and on my mobility. And this is not about the way I look. This is about the way I feel. Like I just said, I want to feel fit and capable. And I think I figured out a pretty good routine to get myself there. And by talking about it, maybe can inspire other people to get there as well. I'm here every day on the stream, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe, because every morning I'm here going through my routine at home. And for the moment, this year, I've picked kettlebells, and it's a pretty, good routine for me, and maybe it will inspire you to set up your own routine, to do your own things. L family, hello. Thank you for dropping by and saying hello. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and I appreciate you dropping by to say hi. I'm actually just wrapping up my start, and I'm going to get started with my mobility training in a moment. Like I always say, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. Because I think a bit of a bit of kindness to ourselves goes a long way, and we sometimes forget that it's the person we are today who is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So, being kind to who we are today and appreciating who we are today is probably going to help get us to where we need to be tomorrow. And friend, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So here we are. We are going to get started with mobility. And L family, thank you for dropping by and saying hello. And anyone else who's watching, feel free to drop by and say hi as well. I always enjoy hearing from people on the stream and to hear how they're doing and what they're up to and their questions about life and fitness or health or career or anything else. Okay, we're going to do some breathing And breathing is where we breathe in and expand the stomach cavity and exhale. And just let the diaphragm push everything as far down and out. I know this is difficult for some people, but it's worth learning. Only, right now, by the way, this is yoga. This is, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well right now. That's a good thing. This is not yoga. This is mobility. It might look and feel a bit like yoga in some parts. Maybe some of the mobility exercises are reminiscent of or taken from yoga, but in general this is just physical mobility and movement, if that makes sense. But thank you for asking. I think that's a very good question. I think there's a slight difference between mobility training and yoga, even though you probably become pretty mobile if you are, if you practice yoga regularly. Sometimes mobility is done in a flow as well. But I think yoga has set forms and types that we use for different things. Like I tried Ashtanga yoga for a bit, and you go through a set of movements over the course of, 30 minutes to an hour. And I guess that is also similar to what I do with my mobility. However, I don't have a predefined flow or tradition that goes with it, if that makes any sense. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to explain, to answer your question. I think it's a very good question. I actually hadn't really thought about it until you asked it. Because something like this might look like yoga, right? But necessarily a yoga flow. Well, maybe something that I should invest time next year into learning more about yoga, because I can't imagine that it's actually something that I might benefit from in my development. And we're just going to rock back and forth for that hip mobility now. And we're going to grab this one. We're going to go here and chill and relax. So do you do any kind of yoga, L family? Is that something you are interested in? Because I'm sure there are a lot of good channels actually especially on yoga out there online. And it's a good activity, I think, for overall health and physical ability. Oh, someone else dropped by to say hello. I'll come and check your message in a second, but thanks for coming by and saying hi. I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time to say hello and good morning to me from wherever you're dialing in from. And the hard part of mobility, especially as you get older, keep in mind I'm 40 years old, that it's not as, I want to say common sense, but it's not common sense. It's not as normal or just that you're just able to keep moving the way I would do things when I was 20 or in my teens. And I think it's just important to realize sooner rather than later that your range of motion and your ability to continue moving in that range of motion welcome back, Puffin. Thanks for dropping by again, and I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. And our family, thanks. I appreciate the compliment, but yes, I am 40, and you realize that you can't take for granted all of the things that you used to take for granted in terms of health and conditioning. And that's just a biological fact of life. So there's two ways to go about it. Just ignore it and accept a gradual decline until you reach a point where you then realize that a lot of the things that you wanted to do aren't available to you anymore because you've lost the ability to get low, to reach up, to run, to sprint, to crouch down, to crawl, to lift. Or you can take charge somewhat, and you can just simply invest a couple of minutes of your day, a couple of minutes of your week, and honestly, these are some of the most enjoyable 30 minutes of my day when it comes to me time and investing in myself and my overall health and ability. I've always liked sports, and I've always liked working out. But now, just enjoy moving and working on my ability, my capacity to move, and judging by the amount of people that are watching and are interested and converse with me on the chat. Health and fitness is one of those topics that everyone is and remains interested in throughout their life. There are a lot of challenges we face when it comes to health and fitness in modern society. But I would like to be, an active father also, not only now, but 10 years from now, when they're in their teens, I'll still be able to keep up with them somewhat physically. So here we are, That's what we're trying to build and what we're trying to do. And we're just going to keep doing it. Those 302 days is only the beginning. I've been really consistent if we've been doing this for 3,000 days, so let's try to get that. Let's try to get that counter up there, so to speak. Hey, Da. I'm training about 3 times a week. Precision, full body, flexible, lost ability nowadays. Yeah, exactly. And actually, I only realized it last year, towards the end of last year, how much mobility training would actually help me after I started doing little bits of it. I try to do it at least 3-4 times a week, so I understand why. Whiskey Thief. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I hope you're doing well where you are, and thanks for taking the time to drop by and say hi on the chat. Yes, who just splits things. It's like lose it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really. Until you need to. Yeah, exactly. That I think those are 2 very true insights, right? The first one being that we lose what we don't use, and that decline comes already in our mid-20s and 30s for some flexibility, because what we do a lot is we sit a lot in life nowadays. There are very few people who are out walking and working physically 3 to 4 to 5, 6 hours a day. So if you have like an office job or a knowledge worker job, you might find yourself sitting for most of the day, and sitting for most of the day will lead to this issue called sarcopenia, where you just become weak, your muscles deteriorate, and when muscles deteriorate, we lose some of the function. Sitting, no bueno, it's not good for us as human beings, so just keep that in mind, alright? And as if you're really thinking about this, the human body is quite fantastic, actually, because a lot of what it can do is determined by how we use it. If you provide the right stimulus, your body will actually start to adapt to the demands you're putting on it. And I think that's the one thing we sometimes forget. And you can put demand on your body in 10 minutes or 15 minutes in a day, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, 45 minutes or an hour, depending on how much time you have, multiple times a week. But sometimes even people just think like, well, 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day is not going to make a dent or a difference. But it will if you're doing the right thing. If you, for example, want to build muscle, you do a warm-up and you do one type of heavy lift, one muscle group in the 10 minutes you have, and a different one every day. Well, guaranteed that if the stimulus is frequent enough and significant enough, you're going to see a difference. The same with mobility. If you do a couple of simple mobility exercises every day, you're going to see a difference in how your body moves. Martha, good morning. Guten Morgen. Good morning. It's different. It's very important not to forget to stretch. And inside only cleanable if you're actually doing a lot of resistance training already. But to be fair, you get stiff by not doing resistance training either. It's a bad joke, but it is actually very true, right? Because you lose quite a bit of flexibility and ability to move simply by not moving and doing anything. You don't have to overdo it like I do every day on a live stream on YouTube. Just come watch mine, that's fine. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't. But, moving, walking, lifting things overhead, carrying things around. These are all abilities that we take a little bit for granted early on in life, only to realize later that it is not that normal to be able to do all those things as we age. It goes both ways. I know. Because I've been at both ends, right? I have been 102 kilos in life, and at 102 kilos dropped down to 78 kilos, 77 and a half. Been everywhere in between. And I think at that time I was sitting a lot, I was eating a lot. I had generally adopted a reasonably unhealthy lifestyle. And I think the key insight for me from that episode was that I shouldn't take my health and fitness too much for granted. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. Poor man's gym. Good morning, buddy. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing all right. We're actually done with the mobility section for this morning, and we're going to move on to some light core exercises, starting with McGill's Big Three. So back then, actually, I started training and I started having a lot of trouble with my neck and shoulders. It's a constant in life, so it has been with me for a long time. But in any case, we figured out that my neck muscles were very weak, and that was causing me to compensate, but I couldn't even hold my head in this position at the time. Now, it might seem somewhat trivial to you right now, but not being able to lift my head off the ground because my neck muscles were so weak, what do you think my posture was when I was sitting behind the desk working, right? Because the head's quite heavy. So I want all those muscles to be strong and working well to prevent any kind of issues later on in life. So that was one of the first wake-up calls. And generally, having gotten back into a relatively healthy shape and size and being relatively consistent with my workouts through COVID, but also with the big life changes of having first one and then 2 kids. And I can tell you as a father, when you have kids, don't be too hard on yourself in your workout regime for those first 2 or 3 years, because you don't know what life's going to throw at you. So you're just going to have to roll with the flow a little bit and understand that all of the health and fitness you've built up now needs to be channeled towards caring for another human being. And you'll sleep poorly, which means you recover poorly. So you can't keep up with an intense schedule as you could before. But then you have kids and you realize how important it is to actually be able to keep up and get down on the floor and crawl around and climb around, do all of the things that they want to do with you. Just keep that in mind. And I think I'm fortunate. I enjoy activity in sports. I think if you don't, it's a bigger challenge. Evalis, good morning. Doing some rotator cuff work. See, there you go. Exactly, right? And as long as you keep using it, poor man's gym, then get stronger and you'll be able to keep using it. Very nice, Martha Ackerman. Enjoy the yoga session. I hope that you're having a good day where you're at. Same goes for you, poor man's gym, by the way. Evalis, good morning. Thank you for dropping by. I hope you're well. Your side of the world. My favorite ab exercise. It burns. No other. Can you link a video or something to underneath in the comments maybe of this live stream? of what a dragon flag is. I need to look that up. I don't know it. And Davy, hello? Davy, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. Appreciate that, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world today. All right, we're going to do the hollow hold for a bit. I can't do that for more than 10 seconds, by the way. I find this one particularly challenging, but understood it's good. As a core exercise. Whew. I'm going to do some pullovers. And some over to sit-ups. Ooh. Now, we will have some suitcase deadlifts. Next, I'm just slowly working on the core as we go. Dragon flag. Right. I will look that up. Thank you for sharing. Now the key of the suitcase deadlift is to keep my body square as we train with the load only being on one side. And we have the waiter walks. Next, we're going to double load it, just for fun. YouTube punk, howdy. Yeah, you're back, but oh, yeah, oh wow, okay, that sounds intense. Probably need a heavy kettlebell for that. YouTube punk, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you get a good rest of the Friday. Yesterday, since we last spoke. You see here now, one weight trying to push me down, one weight trying to pull me down, which makes this exercise all the more intense. All right. And then the final two core exercises. You got these nothing since then. I'm glad to hear it. That was a 12 with the blue and a 16 with the yellow. And this is a 4 with the yellow. First we're going to play the tripod. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And now we're going to use the 4 kilos and drag it around. And I'm going to do a couple of hand-to-hand swings just to finish it off. Because there's nothing like a good hand-to-hand swing as a core exercise. And then it's going to be it for today, friends. Oof. There we go. The hand-to-hand swings. Just to finish it off. And remember the challenge with the hand-to-hand keep your body square. And that's it. We're done for this morning after 36 minutes, friends. And what a morning it's been. It's been a fun morning. Thank you all for dropping by on the chat, for saying hello, and for chatting to me about what you're up to and where you are on your journey. Borman's Jim, thanks for the encouragement. Da, thanks for sharing the insight. Very good for him. YouTube Punk, thanks for dropping by and saying hello. Glad to hear you had a good nap. Evalis, I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. Martha, thank you for saying hi. Oh, family, thank you for being the first one here this morning and for the wonderful chat. Whiskey Thief, appreciate the compliment. And Puffin, appreciate you saying hi, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, all of you, and that you're off to a good start on your Saturday. I'm going to wrap up. For those of you who started watching and missed the beginning, my name is Toby. I'm 40 years old. I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I've understood I might live to be 100, so I intend to be fit and capable, and feel fit and capable when I get there. How do I do that? I mind my sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night. I mind my nutrition, work on my strength, my conditioning, and my mobility. You can see that every day here on the stream, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and like and subscribe, and you'll get an update when I go live. That being said, I also talk about other things. I talk about my career, talk about my family, I talk about being a father, about being a man, about raising men in this world. So if any of that has your interest, go ahead, join me on my channel, and we can have this broader and bigger conversation about life together. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're going to do some reflecting on the most important areas of life as we prepare for a 45-minute run and then a 20-minute cycle of pull-ups and push-ups, which I do outdoors, but I'm always here on Sunday morning as well. Thanks for dropping by, friends. Remember, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Take care, friends.